Well, good morning or good afternoon if you're in the beautiful USA. I am Bruce, aka the guy in the blue shirt, and my process is I do process cleanup, and my method is simpler, faster, better. And I am in Arizona this morning and had some challenges with the sun over here. I'm in a new location, and I wanted to welcome you on this live, first time live guest, Sana. Hey, Sana.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Yes, and on that point, if you are joining, unless you say hi or boo or whatever you want to do, even send an emoji in the comments. We don't know you're there unless you comment. So thank you. And so what do you think about one of the C's I'm going to talk about is collaboration. So we had some unexpected early morning collaboration this morning, right?
Yes, we did. For the
So
least.
yeah. So another C is not the ones I'm going to talk about. Another one is staying calm, right? So so you did a great job under high technical pressure. So to stay calm. So good job.
Thank you. I have to practice what I preach. And you were calm as well, extremely calm. And I thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, it was about solving the problem, right?
Yes, yes.
Not worrying about all the emotional churn that was going on in both of our tummies, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, if you would like to be a live stream guest, then I want to take you through a process that I take both my first time guests and or returning guests, and I remind them of what I call the 4 C's of the process on LinkedIn. And so the first C is you start a conversation on LinkedIn. And there are different ways to start a conversation. And I like to actually start a conversation other than through a referral, which is how Sana came to me. But I like to make comments in other people's posts. So I start commenting, making meaningful conversation and making meaningful points and not trying to be too much of a smartass in comment. So, so it starts with comments. So that's the first C. And then through those comments, you're going to actually narrow down the people that you want to reach out and connect to. So the second C is, reach out to make a connection, but do not pitch slap somebody. Do not make an offer. Bad second C is when you immediately make an offer. Do not do that, please. So that's conversation leads to a connection. And then from the connections, then what you're going to start to do, and I call it my jive hive, is you're going to start to join like-minded people through those connections into what I call a community. And the community could be as small as 2, like Sana and I are a community of 2 on this live stream today, or it could be a little bigger. But the key thing with that community is, make sure you're choosing wisely the people that you want to put into that community. And then the 4th C is kind of where the invitation to do more through that collaboration is. It's collaboration. So again, conversations lead to a connection. The connection should lead to a highly tuned community. And then inside that highly tuned community, that's when you want to collaborate, aka, share revenue, share ideas, share something, but collaborate. So those are the 4 C's. And here's what I often hear: people that are relatively new or they have the wrong metrics on LinkedIn, they'll say, well, LinkedIn doesn't work. Well, no, LinkedIn doesn't work, because if you just go straight from connecting to pitch slapping, then this is a community building platform. It's all about building meaningful relationships. So that's why it doesn't work for you. So yes, the 4 C's take longer. Some of the people I collaborate with, literally this year, it's taken 3 years. So yeah, it's the long haul game. It's a strategic platform here on LinkedIn. So anyway, I threw a lot at you there. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I thank you for having the platform. I think many often will thank you as well that are listening, but it's all about relationships for sure. I mean, I've always said that life is about relationships.
Yep, you bet. And also, I guess I should say 5 Cs. You know, the cool thing with this is that you can choose the people that you seek to drive those relationships with, wider, deeper, both. You know, that's entirely up to you. So that's what I love about it, because you can actually choose the people that you want to collaborate with, and vice versa. And it kind of becomes, you know, I tease Tisha Marie Palatero. I call her my biz bestie, right? Because I choose to work with her on a lot of projects. She happens to live near me. She actually was the realtor that just helped me get this condo, which we split into 2. And yeah, behind the scenes. So I will tell you, if the power suddenly goes out, Sana, you need to just keep talking. Because unbeknown to me, the electricians came today to solve an electrical issue, and of course they wanted. I said, no, I need at least 1 hour's worth of power. So anyway.
Well, we can't let anything take our power away.
You are absolutely right. And it was funny because I was, for the audience, that if you are watching, please say hi, because we can't tell that you're watching. The software is not sophisticated enough for let us know you're just watching. You have to comment. So please say hello, boo-hoo, ask a question, whatever you want to do, and then we know you're there. And it can be as simple as, hi, I'm in Denver, Colorado, or hi, I'm in the same city as Sana in Detroit. So just do that, and then we know that you're there. Anyway, so yes. So I had an electrical moment this morning where
you had an electrical moment and I had a technical moment.
Well, maybe they're linked, you know, so you never know, right?
Right. But the beauty is we're calm, we're here, and everything worked out as it always does.
Right. Well, I'm probably not as calm as I look.
You're doing a pretty good job.
Thank you. Well, so anyway, to finish that conversation, it was funny because one of the electricians needed to come in, and I said, just come in the door. And I remind him, please don't take my power away. And Sana said, oh, you're absolutely right. She thought I was talking to her. So that was kind of funny. Well, hello, Dawn from Ohio, Dawn Pritchard. You know Dawn?
I do, I think. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. So Dawn, hang with us. We're going to chat about whatever we feel like chatting about. But actually the topic, so here's how powerful LinkedIn is. Claudia Wyatt, who Sana and Claudia, they jive well together. They get on like a house on fire. And after my 3rd returning live stream with Claudia, actually the first one in my new location, a couple of weeks later, Claudia said, hey, I think you would get on really well with Sana. Do you want to reach out to her? So that was a referral. And what was that? 3, maybe 4 weeks ago? I've lost track of time.
Yes. That was great. Thank you, Claudia. And Claudia is amazing. We connected on so many levels. So, you know, there are no coincidences.
There are not. So another C, but that was that's all to do with the collaboration, because that collaboration led to, after 3 years of working with Claudia on and off remotely, she actually came to our region, and Tisha Marie Palatero and we went to a brewery, a microbrewery called Fate, F-A-T-E.
I like
so
it.
It was a fateful meeting, but we had a blast. So the cool thing about building meaningful connections that you can collaborate with initially virtually is when you do meet in person, it is just talk about no icebreakers necessary, right?
I bet. Yes. There are so many people that I've met online, and I had a podcast as well. And I met so many great people that I connected with and stayed in touch. And I only know them virtually. And I know that I will end up seeing them in person one day. And it's going to be like, whoa, right?
Yeah. It gets rid of all that nervous energy around, oh, you know, what do they look like? How do they sound? You know, what do they walk like? Blah, 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 you know, right? So,
right.
Anyway, the point about that is, a long story is, Sana and I decided to talk about firsts. So this is her, even though she looks a complete professional, this is her first actual LinkedIn live stream. So if you are watching, please cheer her on if you are watching in the background. We don't know unless you say hi. So send a balloon, you know, send Sana something, because it's a big step for somebody to go from traditional meeting technology to wanting to do this live, because you never know what happens. That's the other thing with live streams, is you absolutely never know what's going to happen. So
that is for sure. It's been an experience so far, but feeling good now.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, what's interesting about that is not only it's your first time, but prepping to get here, you learn some first time things behind the scenes that fortunately I had learned the hard way as well, being because I'm a guest sometimes for other people's live streams, so trying to get online myself sometimes is not easy. So yeah, so the learning of being a guest, not only a host, and I'm a big believer of that, is, you know, you've got to see a process from both the supplier and the customer end. And so, you know, you're my customer in this case, but also when I'm a live stream guest to other people, I'm the supplier of that intellectual property, information, fun, boring, whatever stuff it is, the content that appears on the live stream. So just remember, we're both customer and supplier on every side of every process. So we lose perspective about that very often. So
Good
right.
point.
I can tell you have something to say about that.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think that it's great that you do this. And this is a great way to get messages out there and collaborate and influence, make an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. And we chatted a little bit ahead of this. You know, my goal with live streams is one, shine the light on the amazing people, which I'm able to do, which is you. Number two, I take myself to what I call global university when I do this. So, you know, I tap into all of your intellectual property, all of your experiences, and, you know, I get MBA crash courses in 30 to 60 minutes every time I interview somebody. So anyway, so I'm going to stop talking so much. And first, focus on you. So if somebody asked you, you know, in a few paragraphs, tell me about Sana and her life and what you love, what would you say?
Well, I mean, where I am now, I love helping people based on my past experiences, because I played a lot of roles throughout my life, a lot of experience, a lot of pain and suffering and lessons, as you and I talked about. And throughout the years, it shaped me to where I am today. And I know that's a 30,000 foot view, but we can talk about some of those things if you like. But it really brought me to where I am today. And it's wanting to really help people with some of the things that I've learned that helped me through my journey. So I really don't teach or help people with something that I haven't experienced myself. And I have played multiple roles. I mean, there's many things that I've been involved in: jobs, caretaking, relationships, all of the above. And so, and also working in the corporate world. And so taking all of that knowledge and that wisdom, and then being able to share that and help people in my coaching or my mentoring, you know, with their journey, with what their, you know, what issues or concerns that they're dealing with.
Yeah. I always say sharing is caring.
Yes.
It may not be what people want to hear, but sharing is caring, right?
Right, right. And I can relate because I've been there. You know, it might not be the exact, you know, situation, but because I've lived it, I have an innate ability to help others move through it at a quicker rate.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that point up, because a lot of people say, well, why would you use a coach, mentor, facilitator, consultant, whatever we get labeled? You know, it's about, and in my way, my method that I've run for 4 decades is it's about boiling it down to be simpler, faster, better. And the way that you get those 3 things, it's kind of a misnomer in a way, because people will always focus on, well, Bruce, if you go faster, you're going to probably cut quality. That is not true. Actually, the faster is an outcome of when you focus on simplification first, and then you make that the best it can be, not perfect, because we don't want to be recovering perfectionists, which there's a lot of people out there who are.
Oh, yes.
So simplify, make it the best it can be. I can guarantee everybody all of the time, you will always go faster. So simpler, faster, better is the simplification, focusing on making those things that you decide to focus on the best they can be, and the outcome will always go faster. So the point about that, mentors, coaches, consultants, facilitators, the reason you would want to invest in them is it will save you time, period.
Right. And the greatest investment that you'll ever make is really the investment in yourself.
Oh,
It sounds cliche, but it is very true. I mean, that investment that you make in yourself shapes your life, brings you your sovereignty, brings you your peace. And I love this question about why we need a coach or a mentor. I mean, I could not have done it without a coach, a mentor, teacher, healer, all of the above, because first of all, you need the support. I'm really big on support. Yes, I believe in going within, because that's a lot of my whole method is going within and tapping into your intuition and your inner power. However, we still need the support from people, and we need the encouragement, the support, and some of the tools that we may not be aware of. Because, when I was going through a really difficult time as of the last 5 years, I was in a really dark period, and I went into deep self-reflection, during quarantine, deep, like for 3 months. And I did have the help of a teacher, a mentor, a healer. And because I wasn't going to let anything take my power away. I was like, no, I am going to move forward, and I'm not going to let this choice or, my past dictate my future. So I was determined. I'm an Aries. I'm very, very determined, and I just keep going. Right. So I think the accountability of having, that accountability to yourself and to that coach or mentor, whoever you choose, also the consistency of doing that, and, learning everything together and kind of walking the path together. And that's what I do with my clients, is I walk the journey with them. And there's such power in frequencies matching. So I'm all about energy. And I feel like, when people that usually come to me to work together, it's usually because they're drawn in some way. There's, how you take a liking, or you feel like, I think I could work with her, or there's something, all energy. We may not consciously know it's energy, but it's energy. Right. So when two energies align, two frequencies are a match, the sky is the limit. When we have clients that are kind of, meeting us where we have some like-minded tendencies, the healing, the growth can be so accelerated in a short time because of those energies matching in sync, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I want to say hi to Belky from Florida. Which city in Florida? It's a big state like Arizona and Michigan is. So do you know Belky?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I apologize. I may know some of you, may not. I have, I don't know every one of my followers. So
it's all right. No, it's all good. Well, welcome, Belky.
And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to ask anything, because Sana and I will answer questions at the end. And so I wanted to go back to the whole misnomer about coaches, facilitators, mentors. I hear a lot of time people say, well, I can't find somebody that understands all my deals. And what you will find, and it took me a while to figure this out, is I have content or area specific coaches and mentors. So I have more than one. So for instance, Tisha Marie Pelletier, we always do an annual branding update. Now, do I really need to refresh my brand? Probably not. However, what she does is she does a session, dream to be big. Dream to be bigger, or dream about your vision. Do a visioning session. And through that, just that specific content, that allows me to create a vision board. And then from the vision board, we also agree what my action word for that following year is. So how does that manifest itself? So 4 years ago, when I started doing that, I wasn't very easy and very open. So the first action word was ease and open. And then I wanted to get a little bit peppier, as it were. So the next year's word was ignite. I wanted to ignite something. And then I wanted to be really bold and really be a, smart ass, I guess. So my third year was dare. So I went from ease open, ignite, dare, and then this year it's explore. So explore isn't about, yes, it's the places you physically travel, but where I was really missing out is I wasn't exploring spiritual, mental, I was really good at all the tasks, like most guys are. We're very task driven.
Mm-hmm.
I shied away from the spiritual, mental, I thought that was all woo woo, so so
Right.
this year I've been exploring. And welcome Shirley as well. Hi Sana, good conversation. Yes, I agree. Shirley 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐧𝐬𝐼𝐑. Did I butcher that or make it right? I don't know. Anyway, welcome. So yeah, feel free to ask questions. We will come back and answer those at the comments in the replay. So what are your thoughts about content specific stuff? Particularly if you're a first person trying to fathom out, what do I really need help in? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first, if you don't mind, I do want to comment on what you just talked about. So being in that exploration mode and being more expansive and open, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all about being open to the possibilities. And the more that we step into that curiosity and be open, the more we become fully embodied, like really build a relationship to ourselves, become more authentic, and then be able to really appreciate those around us, the world, everything that we're grateful for, right?
Yep.
It's all about being open. And so when they just asked me the question about, well, what if somebody's starting, whatever, it's okay. So you have to figure out like, okay, what is really missing? Or maybe, people get into coaching, they get a coach or a mentor for many different reasons. It could be a life-changing event. It could be a major breakup. It could be someone that's just really struggling within themselves, which a lot of that is coming up right now in the world. It's a whole other conversation, but a lot of people are really realizing like, their shadow self is what we refer to it as. Like, we don't really talk about things that they kind of repress. When we repress emotions and we repress trauma, we create blockages in the body. But now all of this is kind of awakening to the world. We're all starting to be open to healing and becoming more spiritual. And when I say spiritual, connecting with whatever higher power it is, God, source, creator, whatever works for you. But it is important to have that connection. And so I feel like when someone has, has gone through a difficult relationship or is struggling with themselves right now, that's a time to really dive in and find out, okay, where is this really coming from? Where is the root? And when I work with people, we do some inner work, like inner child work, inner family systems work. But I'm not a huge advocate unless it's like major trauma, and I would definitely outsource it. It's my swim lane. But I don't feel that people need to stay stuck in the past. I do think that sometimes it can be drawn out. And that's a lot of times why people don't want to seek therapy or coaching, because they think it's going to be like really daunting and a long road. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but it depends on the person. There's a lot of variables. But when you understand why you do the things you do, why you made the choices that you did, then you're like, aha, wow, I got it. Now you've gotten some of your power back. So now you can start to look forward, be in the present and also look forward as to, okay, now what can I do knowing that I made these choices because of this, this, and this? How can I transform that and refine that and grow and evolve? And that's what it's really all about. And it's accelerating that process once you learn where the root comes from. So it's really fascinating to see people really become empowered. And that's why I do what I do. I love it. I really love it. So
yeah. Well, I want to do some go backs, but Belky said she vision boards and chooses a word. So Belky, if you're open, why don't you share your power word? That would be fun. As I said, mine's explore for this year, and and my vision board is this right there. So that's the other key thing with vision boards. Have them accessible, viewable, around you, particularly where you do most of your deep work, as it were. You talked a little bit about that, Sana, because it's easy to get lost in the swamp. So when I'm lost in the swamp, I have to do a self-check, and I have to stand in front of my vision board and remind myself, here's what I promised to do, not only for myself, but to serve others this year. And the way I'm going to do it is through this action word called explore. So that's one thing. You said something about past to future, and in all my process work, unfortunately, there's a lot of retrograde thinking, aka looking backwards. And I tell people, look, I can't change the past, but I can help you redesign the future. So it's all about redesigning the future, and that's a choice. People say, well, I don't have the latitude to do that. Yes, you do. It starts with thinking about, we shouldn't forget about the teaching of the past, but even that can be daunting sometimes. But if you keep looking forward and keep telling yourself, I can redesign my future, because the other thing I found in 5 decades of doing process improvement is my guarantee is you will always get what you design, period. So if you've got a lousy something as an outcome, it doesn't matter what it is, then there is something lousy with your productive process inputs. It's not the process itself. It's what you're feeding it. So it's like, Zig Ziglar used to say, we have $1 billion body, yet we treat it like a $1 burger,
Mm-hmm.
So,
what we put into, we become. I mean, it's all about our words, thoughts, and actions. We're making that choice every day.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Hi from Würzburg, Germany. Did I butcher that? I probably did. Linda, do you know Linda? Würzburg, Germany. All right. So see, back to my point about global university, right? We're in 2 different big metroplexes in the USA, and we've gotten East Coast, West Coast, and now Germany. I mean, you can't do an MBA course with that amount of
I love it. It's great.
Right? Anyway, so thank you. So yeah, Linda, if you have a question, and again, Belky, if you wouldn't mind sharing, you can even share a picture of your vision board in the comments after if you want. And if you want me to share mine, it's a working, so I don't make mine very pretty. So I'm happy to share a real life picture of my vision board stuck on the wall. So yeah. Okay, so where are we going to go next? Where do you want to go next?
Well, with what you were just saying about the vision board and that we have a choice, it's really about being intentional, like being intentional in our life every day. And it is a choice. And all it takes is self-awareness. And all it takes is just slowing down a little bit to become more self-aware. And then you would be very surprised at how you're able to make conscious choices, more conscious choices.
Yeah.
And then be intentional.
Sorry. Yes. So self-aware. Sorry. If you're hearing background noise, it's because I have some electricians working in the house. So apologies for that. Didn't want to change our live stream. So, so the intentional thing, most people, they're not going to admit this, and I never used to. The intentional thing can be super scary, right? Because my analogy is, if you go to the grocery store and get a nice big ripe onion, you peel the first layer, it starts to get to you a little bit. By the time you get down 3 or 4 levels, that real intentional, I am going to unpack and really understand what the heck is going on with me, you're probably crying a lot, right? So it can be traumatic, it can be tearful, and that's why people, they don't like to be intentional. They would rather go with somebody else's flow, not interrupting the friction, as I call it. And so, and you and I were chatting about that on my walk in the park last night. So, how do you help people, Sana, that are kind of stuck in friction and move from friction to flow? I mean, I know how I do it, but how do you do that?
Well, change is uncomfortable, let's face it, but it's also very empowering once we are working through it. And if we have the support, it's even more empowering and helpful. But there's a saying that says people would rather be in a comfortable hell than an uncomfortable heaven. Okay. So they stay in the comfortable discomfort because that's what they're used to. And a lot of that stems from their childhood or their teens.
Right.
So there are many people that decide to do that. But there comes a time, not with everybody, it really, everybody's on their own journey, but there may come a time when it gets to be so intense and you know that something is nudging you. It's usually spirit, your higher self telling you, okay, you really need to go a little deeper and figure this out, because this can come up as the repressed emotions can come up as resentment. We could not be setting boundaries because of a situation and it causes more resentment. We could be sad. We could be lonely. We could be going through a lot of inner conflict, but stuck in a situation where we're comfortable, even though it's not great. So it really comes down to how bad is it, or how bad does it have to get where you're going to make a change? And it is a choice, but I'm telling you that it works. Like if you do the work, if you make the commitment, you can overcome the obstacles. You can. I mean, I work with people all the time that have overcome obstacles like you would not believe. And myself, I mean, I've had many different obstacles throughout my life. My last, 7, 8 years was probably my Mount Everest, the biggest obstacle. And as difficult as it was, it's so empowering. And today I feel more solid and grounded and sovereign than I ever have in my whole life. And, my whole thing is don't allow people to take your power away. And that's what a lot of people struggle with. And that's what I struggled with. There were people that wanted to take my power away, but I tolerated it. So I'm taking responsibility. It's not about everybody else. I mean, that's really important for people to know that we have to take responsibility of what we are accepting. We get what we tolerate.
So it's funny. I like to give visuals. I'm a visual kinesthetic learner, and particularly when I work in a heavy industry background, which are predominantly a lot of hands-on, pretty skilled people. And I always tell people, it's like being on an oil rig or a burning platform, right? If the oil rig and the platform's on fire, you only have two choices. You can stay and get fried alive or fried forever, or you can jump off, right? So if you stay, you're taking accountability for staying in the same situation. And unfortunately, a lot of us are taught to be codependent to, even if that's a negative situation, to actually find security in that negativity. And that's my deal. My deal was I was codependent to my father's prior behaviors, and it was like, drove me crazy. But at one point in my life, which was, I purchased a motorcycle, and we lived in a project, literally a project controlled with 2 gangs. And I purchased a motorcycle, and I chose, no matter what, to ride out of there and never go back. So that was my burning platform.
Yes.
If I'd stayed, and I have since been back there pretty recently, half of it is still pretty rough, and half of it is in private ownership now. But if I'd stayed, I actually went back to the home that we all used to live in, 7 of us in this tiny little row house, with 1 bathroom and 1 40-gallon of hot water per day. That was it. So that was a different issue, sharing 40 gallons of hot water between 7 each day. And all my siblings were sisters, so you can imagine, where I came on the pecking order for for hot water. Which was anyway, so the point about that.
I commend you, Bruce, for having that courage and the bravery to do that, because that's what it takes. It takes just a little bit of courage and bravery and faith. So faith is huge, but good for you.
Well, I was in pain, right? So my burning platform was that I was sick and tired of being bullied every day. So it got to the point, or being told by our gang leader I needed to do this, this, and this, which I wasn't. I got to a point where I wasn't prepared to do that. So I decided, and it's funny because I go back there now and I look at all the people that I knew, and to be really blunt, I'm lucky to be alive. I mean, I would probably not be alive today if I'd stayed. So
you and me both. You and me both. Another thing we have in common.
Yeah. So great conversation. Thank you. Appreciate the insights. Have to drop now. All right, Dom. Well, you can come back, and I will post the replay so you can catch the rest of it. And if you prefer, it will be on YouTube tomorrow. So either platform, whichever one is your choice. So thank you, Dom, for supporting. And yeah, again, back to Belkey. If you want to share your action word, it would be fun. And or your vision board. And Linda in Germany, if you want to give us Middle Europe's perspective on any of this conversation, just jump in, Linda. Please share. Sharing is caring, right? All right. So codependency. That's kind of one of those. It's another C word, so probably I should add it to my. So it's one of those things that, particularly a guy, I think, based on what I've seen my sisters do for what their own self-development is, I think my sisters were more willing to admit they were codependent on something that was bad. I don't know about other guys, but a lot of the guys I meet and hang out with, they're kind of resistant to that admission. Mm-hmm. And so that's, and I've never talked about this before. So this is a first. So thank you for being open and drawing it out of me. So yeah, it took me a long time to even recognize that I was codependent to a lot of isms that my father had. And yes. And he was fraught with isms. So that's the negative side. On the positive side, though, my father was an unbelievable engineer. So my father he was a visual kinesthetic. His work ethic was off the charts. He was the best high functioning alcoholic I'd ever known in my life, still to this day. But he was amazing because he could design gyroscopes for naval ships in his head. And once he got all the design done in his head, he would stand at a drawing board literally for up to 48 hours with no break, no sleep, nothing to eat until he got all that design literally down on an old vellum drawing. And then he would roll out the vellum drawings and go take it to the Navy Department and sell his designs. And then he would use that money to fuel all of his other isms. So on the positive side, he was a brilliant guy. On the negative side, he was not very nice.
Right, but those negatives are what led you to what you're doing and your success and your greatness and how you're influencing and impacting the world right now, because all of these are life lessons, and our parents did the best they could do. And right. It's all generational because their parents did it and their parents did it and so on. So right. That's why this time right now is where we can break that chain, and we are breaking it right now. You have broken it, I have broken it, and we are all capable of breaking the chain of our ancestral lineage and everything that has kind of been handed down to us. So we learn from our parents, good and bad. And those things that are mirrored back to us that, and it gave you the incentive to actually do something with your life. So there's always a silver lining in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of C words, right? More C words, that chain, being conscious, making the choice. So maybe we should have said it's a first around every which word you can think of in the C, beginning with C, right?
Right. But I think everybody has some experience with codependency. I mean, I really do. I mean, there's a scale. I mean, some people are more codependent than others, but we all have had some of it. Maybe we still have a little bit of it. And it's really, again, the awareness, finding out where it came from, right. Why you do what you do. It's a point of setting boundaries for yourself and becoming more interdependent on yourself, like, right. Having your authentic nature, connecting with yourself, which is a lot of my work, is really building a relationship to self, which is the most important relationship you will ever build. And when you build that relationship with yourself, you are not as apt to be so codependent on everybody because you are fully whole within yourself. Right. Even with the imperfections. Okay, this isn't about being perfect at all. It's about being perfectly imperfect. I love the imperfections. I think the imperfections are very attractive in people, especially when they're really vulnerable and they talk about it. Like, I love that. So It's all about just being authentic and really tapping into yourself and your inner power and your inner strength. And then we're not as apt to depend on others as much because we feel really confident and solid within ourselves. Now, obviously, there's a little bit, it's a little more layered with our inner, the inner child work and where it came from. But again, once we determine why we do what we do or why we became codependent, then we can go, okay, I got it. That's why I do that. And the minute you have that awareness, you can change it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have turning a negative into positive. My father used to gamble a lot, so I hate gambling. So and he used to drag me sometimes to the casino, and I hate the casino. so it can have a positive impact. So yeah, I mean, I've done the lottery once in a while, but yeah, the whole casino environment, even if it's going to a show in a casino, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It really turns me off, and it's not because I won't see a good show or maybe have a good time. It's just the aversion is so tied to my emotions that it's the smell, it's the sound, and it's the light. So I have such an aversion to it that it actually makes me feel ill. So even if the occasions I have gone thinking, oh, it'll be all right, I actually have to leave and go for a walk, around in the fresh air around the building. So anyway, so yeah, it's very, very deep rooted for me. So
I love the fact that you are so in tune with yourself, though, that you know how your body is responding, and then you're making choices based off of that. And that's what it's about. It's really tuning in. Okay, what is my body telling me? What is my heart saying? How is my body speaking to me? And then when you know that, okay, I don't want to go to the gambling casino because I know that's going to be a trigger. Because even though we've done the work, we still may be triggered because we do have a cellular memory that stores some of this trauma. But trust me, it will disintegrate over time. It may still pop up every now and then, but you will have the tools to get right back on track. That's the beauty in doing the work. Right. But stay away from situations that are going to negatively impact you, and honor yourself, honor what your boundaries are with going to certain places or even being around certain people. I'm a big advocate of that. I mean, yes, we want to be in the energy of love, but we also need to protect our energy.
Yep. And we'll kind of transition because, about the lessons learned. I love doing simple lessons learned exercises, which most people don't do, even though they're particularly a facilitated one. So if I was facilitating a lessons learned, but it's very interesting because what I've learned, and it's the hardest truth, is that sometimes your actual current family are not your best advocates, and actually being able to segregate and segment is not to completely cut them off, but being able to segment and segregate that they're not going to be your best advocates is the hardest thing probably for most of us, because you think family are going to be your greatest cheerleaders, another C, but they're not. So you have to consciously segment, and for me, in a way it was forced. I never felt like I fitted in Europe. So when I got kind of voluntold to come to the USA, and I came on my own with 2 bags, and the stuff I kept went in a shipping container and went on a boat. So when I arrived in St. Louis, Missouri, I didn't know squat. I knew 1.5 people. 2 bags, and it's funny, I've never forgotten when I eventually got to my hotel room, which is another drama story, but too long to share. But I sat there and I literally opened my suitcase, and I sat on the bed and I thought, oh my God, like, what have I done? and it just, I just cried. I mean, it just like, there was this sudden outbursting of emotion that I'd obviously been kept inside for many, many years. And it was weird because once I came to the terms that, oh my God, what have I done? But oh my goodness, what a great opportunity. I can rebuild literally my whole life. And that's what I did. So, so it's a big choice.
That was a big turning point. I mean, all of those emotions have been repressed and stored for so long, and we don't even realize it because it's unconscious. And then when we make that choice to step out of that,
Yeah.
emotions can just completely take over you, but it's a release. I mean, it's a good thing. And it's like, wow, like I didn't realize I was storing so much of that. And then it lightens you up, and then you're ready to step into your next timeline chapter, the next part of your life.
Yeah. It's funny because, I never had I never had the pep in my step that I have now. and that was it. That was, 30 years ago. That 30 years ago last month on August 13th is when I arrived in St. Louis, Missouri, and with my 2 bags. And yeah, my pep in my step has been growing and maturing. Well, I won't say maturing because I'm not very mature, but it's been changing for the last 3 decades. So, so I wouldn't have the pep in my step without that big choice that I made, which was to walk away from everything and start over. So,
yes,
but I
wow.
had a good job. That was the saving grace. Good job, and one good guy, and I met another good guy in the first month of being here that chaperoned and helped me through basically the first 2 years of being in the USA, because it was dramatic. It was, talk about having to unlearn everything that you'd learned in my prior 39 years. It was crazy. So
Wow, Bruce, you have done the work. Oh my gosh, this is great. I mean, and you're impacting so many just based on your story today. And I didn't even know some of this in your story. So thanks for sharing. But I'm sure that this is going to have an impact on people, that, you take that step, and you obviously have done some work because you're pretty aware of all this stuff, which I love to hear this, especially with the men with the divine masculine. It's just so important. It's so needed right now in this world, right? To like do the inner work, because when we all do our part, we're actually contributing to a better world. It starts with each and every one of us, and people don't get it. They want to maybe be negative and judgmental, but really it all starts within.
yeah. And actually, he surely made a profound statement. So this is Global University in action, right? The wisdom of the body is the best wisdom of all. What a great way to summarize our last 47 minutes of conversation, Shirley. So thank you. I love people that can take.
I love that. I always say wisdom is power. And when that is a great comment that she made. It prompted me to say that whenever I am having a difficult day or an insecure day, we always have those off days, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect, but I tap into the wisdom that I've acquired through all of the challenges, and knowing that I got through them. Cultivate that wisdom as your power. You're like, wow, I've been through a lot. Like, there's no reason for me to feel like insecure today. It's like, you just move forward because you've been through so much, and you have to celebrate that within yourself when you do the work.
I know. So part of and again, this is not many people admit this, is, we all get head chatter. So I actually name my 2 voices. So my positive voice, he's Alexander, after my favorite IndyCar driver, Alexander Rossi. But my negative voice, he's Chipmunk Charlie, because he's like, and we all have that. He gets right between my temples, and he will like, and he's like, drives me insane. So whenever Chipmunk Charlie is predominant in my head, which is the self-doubt boy, I have to get Alexander Rossi or Alex to go, invite him to go on vacation. And if it's really intense, I have to get Alex to go, like, take him for a walk and throw him off a cliff, or whatever it takes to just stop Chipmunk Charlie from taking over my whole moment. And it's unbelievable because it gives me a headache. Literally, Chipmunk Charlie will give me an intense headache right between the temples. So the point about that is, I find it very helpful to name the 2 aspects of your inner talk. Name your positive and name your negative, and make sure the positive knows how to go deal with the negative. And that's how I've dealt with it. So
I love it. That's great. Yeah, I have to think about that. I don't know if I have 2 names, but I'm going to think about that after today's live.
Yeah, I think maybe your positive one is sophisticated sauna, and don't know
Possibly.
what the negative might be, you know.
I don't either. I have to think about that.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I don't know. I don't want to pick a lady's name and then insult somebody. So
Exactly.
maybe positive poly. Maybe that's pretty gender neutral, right? All right. So what do you got coming up? And as we were actually in the last quarter of most people's financial years, so Q4 2024 is about to start on October 1st for most people. So what do you got coming up?
Well, I'm doing a little rebranding right now, which is a task. I am refining some of my path, what I'm doing, but I'm still continuing to work with clients. I do some public speaking as well. I love doing small interactive workshops. That's one of my strengths, and usually that's overcoming like difficult personalities. Balance between work and life, which has been a lot of my work during the COVID, the quarantine.
Right.
I worked with a lot of people that were really struggling with balancing their life and not being able to go out. I mean, with executives that would be like having to travel all the time and they couldn't travel. And oh my God, I'm with my kids, my ex-husband, and what am I going to do? So there were so many issues. So I just continue, and I am going to do a masterclass. I am working on a masterclass, and just honing in on a few things. And I'm a big believer that I do trust a lot in. I have a very strong faith. I trust in the universe, and I am allowing things to come my way, and then that guides me. So I'm very intuitively led on my path. So we'll see. We'll see.
Intuitive. So maybe you should be serendipity sauna.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
You like serendipity?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, for another C word, there's no coincidences out there, people. So no matter how much you might want to convince yourself.
There are no coincidences. And everybody that's on this live today, there are no coincidences. You're here for a reason. There's something within you that brought you to listen to this live.
Yeah. To these two crazy people that have never met in person yet. So I will say it publicly. My commitment to you is I will meet you in person somehow as soon as possible, because I think we're more alike than we are disalike. So that's the other thing I love with being able to host guests, is that you get to choose if you want to continue to, learn more from them. And no better way than doing it live on camera with all the distractions. Like I have 4 electricians running around my basement floor right now. So trying to stay focused, but wondering what they're doing, but they're keeping the power on. So thank you for
that's the most important thing.
Yeah, most important thing. All right. So closing thoughts, and then I have a terrible memory on something, so I'm going to do a couple of little outtake videos which I share. But closing thoughts or a specific ask that you might have?
I think my closing thoughts would just be that you can overcome the obstacles. I know it sounds cliche, but you know what? It is what it is. You can overcome your insecurities, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your relationship issues. You can overcome it, but only by building a relationship to yourself and connecting to yourself and making that commitment. And you will be so happy that you did. You will love yourself more for actually choosing yourself, because many times we don't choose ourselves. We choose everybody around us, and we let the world dictate who we need to be. And we are stepping into, or we are in the era of authenticity, and we need to be as true to ourselves so that we can actually make a positive impact in the world. Because when we do the work, we impact everybody around us.
Yeah. So see, I said I'm not a betting man, but I do bet on myself. So I would encourage you all to bet on yourself and create a strong community of one first.
Yes.
You cannot help other people's communities, and you will not be the best collaborator unless you can create the community of one, which is yourself. And people say, well, Bruce, that's being selfish. Yeah, it is being selfish, but it's also being the smartest thing you can do for yourself and others, because if you don't put, you know, gas in your gas tank, your motor don't run, and you can't help transition or transform. You know, transformative action is about influencing others, and you don't have gas in your gas tank, you can't help others. So it's pretty simple.
My mom used to say we have to become selfish to become selfless, and it's so true. We have to work on ourselves so that we're able to show up and love others.
Okay. Well, I would encourage you to drop those other pearls of wisdom and comments to yourself when this goes as replay. So please do that. And then in the meantime, so I want you to see if you see yourself in this little video. So a little background to this. Devin James was a live stream guest. I met him in person. I was a couple of years ago, I was up in Portland. I'm addicted to IndyCar racing, so I was there for Portland weekend, and I found this seasonal floating restaurant. It was on the South Columbia River. He'd never been to, so we decided to go float around in this seasonal restaurant. We thought we were meeting for an hour. We ended up spending, I think, almost 4 hours together with each other. So so this is the net productive output from that 4 hours. So just to show you, it was pretty cool.
You're frustrated that you have no time and you just hate it. You lost your mind. You're running around the kids and the spouse, and the business that was once your passion has got you burnt out. So consult with Bruce, the guy in the blue shirt. He'll help you find the truth so that you can do you first. See, it's all about simpler, faster, better, so you can save massive amounts of time and money instead of longing for the day where you can finally kick your feet up. Do yourself a favor. Call up Bruce. He'll tell you about process cleanup.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you see yourself at the end?
Simpler, better, faster.
No, I mean, did you see yourself, the lady on the beach at the end?
I did.
Looks just like you.
I wish I was
All
there.
right. So fast forward a year or so, and I've been dabbling around. You'll see behind me, I actually have a 3D space. I'm recreating it to have everything all in one place, and it will also be a data warehouse where I get to keep all my own data instead of giving it away to third parties like Google and Zoom and whatever.
Wow.
And so I've ventured into the 3D world. So I went back to Devin and I said, hey, Devin, how can this this old baby boomer, like, tell people why this is important? So we came up with this. So here we go. We ended up creating 3 spaces, which people are going to be able to see. And we ended up with spaces called Connect and Shop and Shop and Play.
You don't want to miss out, that's all I'm gonna say. The right place, the right time, the right tech. In the omniverse is where I place my bet.
Connect and Shop and Shop and Play and Play.
Imagine having Google stocks back in the day when you got up on the ground floor. Pennies to the dollar, this is opportunity calling, so you better yell holla. Holla, holla.
And I don't like rap. Just to encourage people, you're never too old to do something new. Right?
That's true. It's
Yeah.
never too late for anything. It's never too late to choose yourself.
Those
are my closing statements.
Never. Yeah. So please drop that in the comments. So again, thank you all. Shirley, Dawn, Linda, Belkey, yourself, of course, Anna. And if you were just listening in and we're a little bit shy of comment, you can comment on the replay. If you have questions or follow on information, or you think you would like to work more closely with Sana, then reach out to her on LinkedIn. If you have a process that's vexing you and you've tried to fix for a long time, then reach out to me. I'm pretty good at process cleanup stuff. So anyway, all right. So hang for a minute, Sana. Thanks again, everybody. And
thank you, Bruce. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm truly grateful, and thank all of you for listening.
Yeah, and rebranding, here we come. You're going to keep us posted, right?
I will definitely keep you posted.
Right. Hey, little sidebar. Tisha Marie Peltier was my branding coach. It's the same Fruscia pink color. That's her brand color. And you have I meant to tell you that earlier. You have the identical color on today. So see,
pink
there's
is
no mistakes. There's no coincidences.
no coincidences.
All right. So good job. So it was, if I closed my eyes and I looked at the color jacket, it would be like, oh, Tisha Marie Peltier is on the live stream. So anyway, so good job. Hang for a minute. Take care, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you.